We live under a delusion here at Collinwood. We believe the evil that has plagued our days and nights has been done away with. But there is a little boy who believes the evil is still in our midst. He alone among us continues to live in constant fear.
David? Where are you going?
Outside.
I can see that, but where?
Well, I have to see someone.
Who?
My friend Sarah. I want to talk to her.
David, you have your lessons to do as soon as Vicky gets back.
Please, can't I just go see Sarah and talk to her?
What about?
I can't tell you.
David, is something the matter?
No.
Well, I'm afraid you can't go out right now. Vicky's due back any minute. Perhaps you can see Sarah after your lessons. David, if something is troubling you, I wish you'd tell me what it is. Well, Vicky, you're back.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I took a little longer than I expected to.
Come into the drawing room. I want to talk to you.
I hope that you're not upset because I stayed so long at Maggie's.
No, of course not. How is Maggie?
Oh, she's like a new person.
I can imagine. She's had to live with quite a nightmare.
They got a report from the hospital while I was there.
About Willie?
Yes. He's still in a coma. They don't expect him to live through the day. Mrs. Stoddard, I can't believe that Willie was really capable of the things he's been accused of.
Vicky, you can't be serious.
I know that he wasn't perfect. And his behavior was sometimes a little strange.
A little strange. That's putting it mildly.
But I just can't believe that he was capable of kidnapping someone.
I can. Anyone who can call themselves a friend of Jason McGuire's is capable of anything, to my way of thinking.
Well, his friendship with Jason ended when he went to work for Barnabas.
Yes. And I'll admit that Barnabas did change his personality for the better. But underneath, I'm sure he's still the same man he's always been.
Oh, I don't know. I think there's more to this than any of us knows.
Vicky, I know you feel sorry for Willie, but try to be objective about it. The fact is that he tried to break into Maggie's room at 3 o'clock this morning.
You're right. I guess I just didn't want to admit that I could be so wrong about someone.
Well, let's get off the subject of Willie. I want to talk to you about David.
David, is there something wrong?
No, nothing serious.
What is it?
I was going to ask you.
What?
Well, it's nothing serious, but as he was going out the door, I stopped him.
Where was he going?
He said he wanted to see his friend Sarah. It was his behavior that bothered me.
What do you mean?
Well, he just stood there in the doorway with his back to me, and I had a feeling he was terribly frightened of something.
He's been acting so strangely ever since that night that he was brought home. He was frightened of something then, too.
Well, did you talk to him about it?
He couldn't tell me anything because he didn't know anything.
Well, Vicky, I think we should make every effort to find out what it is, don't you?
Oh, yes, but lately it's been very hard to get anything out of him.
Do you suppose that something frightened him when he was lost in the woods?
Well, I should think that the entire experience of being lost in the woods would be frightening. But he's safe now. There's no reason for him to go on being frightened.
Well, until we are sure of what is bothering him, I think you better keep a very close watch on him. And as a matter of fact, I think it would be best if he didn't go out alone.
I think so, too.
Nothing must happen to David.
Don't you worry about him. I'll take very good care of him. All right, David. Time's up. Where's your composition?
I didn't do it.
Why not?
I couldn't think of anything to say.
But you told me you had it all planned out.
I guess I forgot what I wanted to say.
David, what's the matter?
Nothing.
Something is, and I wish you'd tell me what it is.
Oh, it's just that I'm not really in the mood for doing a stupid composition.
Why not?
I don't know.
Well, what are you in the mood for?
Nothing.
David, look at me. I know you're frightened of something. And the only thing that'll help you is if you'll tell me what it is.
Who said I was frightened about something? I'm never frightened of anything.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't know anyone was in here.
Oh, that's quite all right, Julia. Today's lesson just ended.
Oh, then the study will be free? I'm expecting a visitor.
It's all yours. David, maybe a walk outside will put you in the mood for writing that composition.
Well, I thought you said I wasn't allowed to walk outside alone.
I didn't mean alone. Would you like to come for a walk with me?
Where are you going?
Down to the old house to see Barnabas.
The old house?
Yes, I imagine the news about Willie must have come as quite a blow to him. He did so much to try and help him. I thought maybe a friendly visit might cheer him up.
Oh, I'm sure it might, but...
Well, David, will you come with me?
I'd rather stay here.
But I thought you wanted to go outside.
Not if I have to go to the old house.
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
Well, it's just that I don't want to go there. And I don't think you should go there either.
What are you talking about? Why shouldn't I?
Because it isn't safe.
Well, now that's a switch, David. You used to love to go there, and we were the ones that told you it wasn't safe. But that was before Barnabas fixed it over.
Well, it still isn't safe.
Why?
Well, I don't know why. I just know it isn't.
David, I think you're being very childish.
I'm not being childish. I don't want to go to the old house. And I don't want to see Cousin Barnabas. And you can't make me.
I'm not going to make you do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to.
I'd just rather sit in my room all day than go to the old house.
All right, David, you've made your point. Now you go to your room and wait for me there. He certainly hasn't been the easiest person to live with the past few days.
Yes, I can see that.
Well, it looks like I'm going to go and see Barnabas alone.
Oh, Vicky, I think going to the old house now would be a waste of time. I just remembered that Barnabas said he'd be away for the day.
Oh, that's too bad. When will he be back?
Tonight.
Do you know, I have a notion about Barnabas. I think he secretly sleeps during the day because he's so much in love with the night.
You may be right. He's certainly the most dedicated night person I've ever known.
Well, you understand why I couldn't see you when you came to the hospital this morning.
Oh, of course. Must have been a long night.
Well, I got about an hour's sleep.
Tell me, what's the prognosis on Willie?
Well, I got the last bullet out of his back about 6:30 this morning. And that relieved the spinal pressure, of course, but his condition's substantially the same. I don't know what's going to happen. I wish I could foretell it.
Listen, Dave, medical history aside, what's your opinion? Do you think he'll live?
I give him about 1 chance in 100.
But what will happen if he does pull through?
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, will he be able to talk?
Well, we hope he will.
But isn't there a chance of partial or total paralysis?
Well, there's always a chance of that, Julia, when there's a spinal injury.
I'm only asking because I hope he does survive and makes a complete confession. Then you'll realize that my long investigation here was justified.
Do you mean that Willie was the one you suspected?
All along.
Well, what evidence did you have?
Oh, it's a little long and complicated to go into now. You can read it all in the report I'm preparing.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Julia. Nobody had the vaguest idea of who the kidnapper was. What in the world made you suspect Willie?
Oh, I've had several long and revealing encounters with him when I first arrived here, and I soon recognized disturbing signs of a personality disorder.
A psychopath?
Yes. Yes, after that, I concentrated all my investigation on him.
Well, why didn't you tell me all of this? Why all the secrecy?
Well, I wanted to pursue the case as I saw fit.
Well, don't you think that was a little bit dangerous? I mean, if the man was a psychopath, a potential killer?
Oh, I knew what I was doing.
Julia, if what you're telling me now is the truth, then what was the reason for all that talk you've been giving me lately about the supernatural?
Oh, I'm afraid I'll have to apologize to you for that, Dave.
Why?
Well, it was a story I just made up to satisfy your curiosity about what I was doing.
Well, I must say you made a very good job of it. You started me believing that. In the interim, I've really begun to think that it's the truth.
That there really is a supernatural? Don't be absurd.
Well, how else do you account for this little girl, Sarah, appearing and disappearing for various people?
Well, I don't account for it all. She has no bearing on the case.
Oh, no. She knew what was happening to Maggie before it happened. Now, how could she have gotten to know things like that? What about that other strange thing about Sarah? Nobody knows where she lives. Nobody knows where she comes from. Oh, sure. David knows how to contact her, but he won't tell any of us.
Don't understand why you're so interested in this little Sarah.
Well, now, come on.
The
Ju-
case
why
is
I'm
solved.
interested.
The kidnapper has been identified. What more do you want?
All right, Julia, maybe you're right.
I know I'm right.
I suppose you'll be going back to Wyncliffe soon.
Oh, I thought I might stay here 3 or 4 days at least.
Well, if the case is closed, there's no real need for you to stay, is there?
Oh, but Dave, I'm here as an historian doing research on the Collins family. I just can't pack up and go.
Listen, as long as the kidnapper's been caught, I don't think it would hurt if you told Mrs. Stoddard who you really are.
Oh, I'd rather not do that. In a little while, I'll announce that my work is almost finished, and then I'll leave quietly.
You sure you don't have some other reason for staying around here, Julia?
Positive.
I think you do. I think I know what the reason is.
I haven't the slightest idea what you're talking about.
Come on now, Julia. People around here aren't blind. Neither am I. You've shown an extraordinary interest in one particular person ever since you got here. Barnabas Collins.
Well, of course I'm interested in him. He's a fascinating and charming man.
And that's all there is to it? Just casual interest?
Really, Dave?
get upset. I'm not trying to pry, Julia. As a matter of fact, I almost hope that Barnabas is the reason you're going to stay on a little longer. Now, look, romantic interest never hurt anybody.
I didn't say that he was the reason that I was staying.
You didn't have to, Julia. You didn't have to.
Thinking about David?
You must be a mind reader.
No, I was thinking about him, too. I was rather disturbed by his behavior in the study before.
So was I.
Why do you suppose he's so frightened about the old house?
I don't know. It's never bothered him before.
Do you think it could have anything at all to do with Barnabas?
I don't see why he'd be frightened of Barnabas. On the contrary, he should be grateful to him. It was Barnabas who found him and brought him home.
Has he said anything about Barnabas since he's come home?
No, he doesn't talk about much of anything. He just sits in his room. And I know that he's frightened of something, but he just won't tell me what it is.
Do you think it would help if I had a little talk with him?
Well, that's what Mrs. Stoddard is doing right now. Why don't we wait and see what kind of progress she makes?
Vicky told me you weren't able to do your lessons.
I could have done it, but I just didn't feel like it.
Why?
I don't know.
David, it's obvious that you're very upset about something. It isn't going to get any better by keeping it inside. Whatever it is, you have to talk to someone about it.
There's nothing to talk about.
You were very frightened when you were lost in the woods, weren't you?
Well, yes, kind of.
Were you afraid that you might be attacked by someone? Like the man who kidnapped Maggie Evans?
Well, I thought about it.
Or maybe subconsciously you're still thinking about it.
Maybe.
But there's no danger of being attacked anymore. The man was caught last night. The police shot him. David, what's the matter?
It wasn't Willie.
What?
Willie didn't kidnap Maggie, and he didn't attack anyone either.
David, he was caught trying to break into Maggie's room.
I don't care. They shot the wrong man.
Why are you saying this?
I just don't think Willie could hurt anybody. I don't believe it.
I don't see why you're getting so upset about it.
Sarah. I've got to find Sarah.
Why?
She'll know whether it was Willie or not, and she'll tell me. I've got to find her right now.
Maybe we're going about this whole thing in the wrong way.
What do you mean?
Maybe what's bothering David is something quite trivial. Well, we're just overlooking it.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
David, come back here. You can't go out.
I've got to go find Sarah. I've got to ask her something.
David, what is it? What's the matter?
The eyes. The eyes. No! No! Leave me alone!
David, please tell me what's wrong.
The eyes in the painting. They were alive. I could feel them. They were blaring, blazing down at me right this minute.
Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.